up, you guys? It's Going Tops with Zay, and in today's episode, I'm going to be watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and you're going to be following along with me, and you're going to be able to see my reactions and all of that. And we're going to talk about it and see how it is and compare the old original movie to the new one. So come along with me, and let's get going.
That's a lie.
Okay, so now we're gonna do the review.
Rachel Zegler has officially been benched by Disney, and no, this isn't a rumor. The Snow White star has become such a PR nightmare, the studio has cut her out of her own press tour. She was set to appear on SNL, Kimmel, Drew Barrymore, all of it scrapped. Why? Because Disney finally realized putting a mic in front of her is a financial risk. It started with her trashing the original Snow White. She called it outdated, mocked the love story, and basically told fans they were wrong for liking it. Then came the political chaos. Rachel basically shouted "Free Palestine" next to Israeli co-star Gal Gadot during a Disney press event. In a single moment, she turned a kids' film into a geopolitical controversy. They even canceled a $10 million Disney World event. And now Zegler's threatening to sue Disney for canceling appearances. First, she torched the movie's image, then insulted the fans, and even hijacked the spotlight. And now she wants compensation? At this point, Snow White 2025 isn't a film launch. It's a cleanup operation.
I synced it. I'm starting off with saying I synced it. Snow White. And yeah, I'm gonna talk shit about it. There will be spoilers. You have 5 seconds to scroll. For everybody that ain't gonna go see it, that just wanna know how bad it was, here we go. I'm gonna use this picture as reference on how I'm gonna explain this because there's a lot, okay? I'm gonna start with her hair. I'm not gonna put a picture of her with her hair because y'all seen it. And clearly, her hair was not herring. Do you see this? That's a wig that I currently own. I hadn't even gotten around to styling it yet. She could have got something like this. It's $30 damn. I know it's cheap as hell. I know Hollywood, like, we don't do cheap. Well, for this, you might as well have. The movie already sucked as it is. You could have at least made her hair look better, okay? She could have had that, and y'all could have put a red fucking ribbon on it, and she'd look real cute, okay? So that, yeah, could have had that bust down, and instead, y'all gave her some Lord Farquaad looking shit. Next, her dress. Her dress was shit. I did not like the long sleeve. I didn't. I like the short sleeve. I like the original look. But her hair was throwing off the whole look anyway, so whether it was short sleeve, long sleeve, the wig was fucking the whole style up. 3, there is no prince. That's right. You heard me. No prince. He's a thief. And then he wasn't even a cute thief. Like, he was cute. But, I mean, like, he wasn't fine or anything. And I'm like, why is it we have finer princes in, like, Little Mermaid and Cinderella? Them two were fine. This dude was all right. Disney, what are you doing? You know? 4, the obvious thing that everybody was most pissed about, the dwarves. The dwarves and the CGI, they went over the top with the CGI. It was CGI Central. It was horrible. But y'all want to know something real stupid? I mean, this was stupid. So you know how Peter Dinklage practically fucked it up for little people to get the roles for the dwarves? Because he wanted to speak on that behalf of, he don't speak for Ward Davis. He messed that up. But, that was one little person in the movie. I'm like, and that shocked me and my husband sitting next to me watching. We were like, the fuck? So this one little person was allowed to be in this movie, but y'all couldn't just make all the dwarves little. Y'all can blame Peter Dinklage for that, okay? 5, Gal Gadot, and I know everybody pretty much is mad at Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. Politics aside, she actually did a really good job being the evil queen, but they didn't need to give her a song. She sings. Not very well. She didn't need a song. Oh, speaking of songs, they pretty much wrecked just about all the damn songs. Like, there's some new songs, but if you're looking for Whistle While You Work, it's there, but it's not that great. And then Hi Ho was actually pretty cute. They added things to it. Ugh. I know they majorly changed up the plot, how things transpired to how things ended at the end of the movie. I'm not gonna give away how it ended and whatnot, but the ending is definitely different. It was bad, y'all. I'm sorry, it was so bad. So yeah, don't even bother to watch this live action because it was absolute shit. It was complete doo-doo butter. And I recommend just sticking to these 3 Snow White movies. These are personally my favorites. So of course the OG. This actually makes a lot more sense than what the hell they decided to transfer. We begged them not to make this live action. We begged them, and they went through with it anyway. I'm like, this is fucking money wasted. You do realize that, right? Money wasted. Do y'all have time to waste more money, Disney? And they did. So just stick to watching this one because it's just better. And I know one thing, my baby loved this one. She loves this version. And I'm so happy because I think she was bored to tears of this live action to be real. My next favorite version of Snow White is this Snow White, the fairest of them all. It's early 2000, as you see right there, 2001. I fell in love with this. Me and my mom saw this on TV. I think it was playing on ABC for the first time, and it was so good. Miranda Richardson and Kristen Stewart there, and it's, oh my gosh. Just see if you can find, maybe it's free on YouTube somewhere. It's so good. I wouldn't lie to you about that. And my all-time favorite, because Disney, y'all could have just came in, put the Disney label on this, and said that she is your live-action Snow White, because, oh my gosh, this was my all-time favorite. Julia Roberts being the evil queen, not only was she evil, but she was funny too. So, I mean, that was great. She was wonderful. She did such an amazing job being Snow White. She's so beautiful and just, she was great. The dwarves were awesome. They were hilarious. Oh my gosh. And the only downside is the prince. I'm so sorry to announce that Armie Hammer, if you don't know who that is, Google is free. Please look him up. He plays the prince, and I had a crush on him in this movie. I thought he was hot because his voice was deep. It was voicing, and he was really cute. And he's a fucking psychopath. Ugh, I'm not gonna get into that, but yeah, just look past that and watch this because it's a great Snow White. I promise you. So yeah, Disney just wasted their fucking time making another live action that was a total fucking flop. And I do want to see Lilo and Stitch, but I'm scared that, well, they already screwed up with Nani. They already screwed that up because I heard that when they were having the auditions for Lilo and Stitch, that there were so many better potentials to play Nani that actually better fitted her description, that fitted her look from the cartoon. And they looked over all of those and spray painted this girl. I even saw one actress today that was a potential that didn't need to be spray tanned. And she actually looked like Nani. I'm like, what are y'all doing, Disney? I'm like, do y'all get off on losing money? I think you do. Like, the only reason I'm gonna go see it is for the little girl, because she's adorable and she was an excellent choice. Dead ringer. And y'all did a great job CGIing Stitch, because had it been a freaking Sonic the Hedgehog debacle, the first one that made everybody go crazy to the point where they changed him, I wouldn't go. But because of that little girl and that little CGI character, am I gonna go see it? Everything else they screwed up on, all the way down to Mr. Bubbles, because you could easily have asked Ving Rhames to come back and live-actionly play Mr. Bubbles. Yeah, my husband was like, well, you want to blame somebody? Blame Bob Iger. Yeah, I do. Fuck you, Bob Iger. What the hell is wrong with you? Could you step down and let a millennial take over? You know, someone young enough who understands what the people want, because y'all are not listening. You're doing whatever the fuck you want, and you're losing money behind it. That's my review. I'm sorry it was very long. If you made it all the way to here, God bless you for listening to my crazy ranting. And I hope you actually do check out those other two Snow White movies that I recommended. I know everyone's more than likely seen the the OG cartoon, but if you haven't seen Snow White, the fairest of them all, please go watch it. It's really cute. And I believe a lot of people do know about Mirror Mirror, but if you don't, go check that one out too. It's really good. It's really good. It'll make you forget that monstrosity that, if you did go see it, that monstrosity that you had to witness in theaters. It'll make you forget all about that. It's a good eye washer, if you will. Anyway, see you later.
So the reviews are now out for Disney's live-action Snow White. I got to see the movie last night, and let me tell you why people aren't exactly loving it. Starting off with some positives, though, I think if you're someone who's watched the trailers or is a big fan of that original cartoon, the movie does enough where I think you'll be pleased. They hit a lot of the iconic moments. The old songs in there are done really nicely, thanks a lot to Rachel Zegler's fantastic voice. Yeah, I'm not someone that has a hate boner for this actress like a lot of people online do. She's really good in the role, and I was even someone that found the dwarves to be fun. Yes, they look a little creepy and the CGI isn't great, but they are a pretty fun part of the movie. Unfortunately, some of the things that hold this movie back, though, are Gal Gadot as the evil queen. Her performance is really out there and almost feels like she's in a different movie. Her singing performance also isn't that great, especially when compared to Rachel Zegler. The movie also suffers from having no real plot. A lot of the movie just feels kind of aimless, and they're just trying to get to iconic scene, which when they do create a scene from the original cartoon, it's awesome, but everything in between just kind of feels like filler. But the biggest problem this movie has is that it's two different movies that was trying to be combined into one. Some of you might not know this, but the original version of this movie did not have the Seven Dwarfs at all, and instead was going to include the Seven Bandits. I know that sounds awful, and it didn't test well with Disney's audiences, so they delayed the movie to reshoot it and include the dwarves back in. However, the Seven Bandits are still part of this movie, and they feel very oddly placed because they now don't serve the purpose they used to. So now you have a movie with 7 characters that feel like they're important to the movie, but they don't really say anything or do anything other than just stand behind Snow White a lot of the time, making some stuff feel really awkward, and you can tell where they stitched together the old version of the movie and the new version of the movie into one. I still don't think the movie is a train wreck or disaster like a lot of people thought it was going to be, but it's just an average remake of a beloved.
I just got out of watching the, for some reason, highly controversial Snow White adaptation, and I'm of two minds about it. on one hand, I think from like a child's perspective, considering the reactions I could hear from kids in the screening, probably delivers on being an entertaining film. There were giggles, there were gasps, and a few moments where the younger audience members seemed genuinely invested. If that's all that matters to you, if you're just looking for something to throw on for a kid who enjoys bright colors, songs, and fantasy, then honestly, you can click off right now, because from the perspective of a dude in his 30s who has actually liked or even loved some of these live-action Disney adaptations, this one, it isn't great. Put it more on par with the quality of like a Disney Channel original movie. And look, I love The Descendants and the High School Musical movies. I just saw those like a year ago. But even within the Disney Channel category, I'd still say the Snow White would be near the lower end. This movie isn't without its moments. Despite what the internet has to say about her, Rachel Zegler does inject some heart into the role. Easily the best part of the film. There are a couple of musical numbers that are genuinely enjoyable, and I do appreciate that the movie tries to expand upon the original instead of just, being a shot-for-shot remake. However, that attempt at reinvention leads to the film running into conflicting terrain. It takes itself way too seriously at times while simultaneously trying to carve out its own identity, yet it still feels bogged down by the need to hit like requisite beats from the OG. It's a movie that doesn't flow well. It's clunky, tonally inconsistent, it's annoying at times, and it's visually uninspired. Speaking of visuals, none of it feels real. It just looks fake. Story-wise, the movie needed strong execution of world building, especially with the changes they attempted, but everything feels half-cooked and or hollow. Felt like it was like lacking in budget or something. The dwarves, a lot of people started laughing when they showed up because they just don't look good. They don't look good. I won't go as far as to say they were like unbearable portrayals or something. Dopey in particular had some genuinely enjoyable moments. I kind of felt like they didn't originally want them in this movie. And then there's Gal Gadot. Listen, she's trying. She really is, but I wouldn't be surprised if come award season she gets a Razzie nomination thrown her way. That being said, I still, I had fun watching her, just maybe not for the reasons the movie intended. Ultimately, Snow White, isn't the disaster the internet was hyping it up to be, but it's not good either. It's clunky, it's uninspired adaptation that has a few redeeming qualities, but it fails to justify its own existence. I wouldn't rush to the theaters for this one. I'd say maybe wait for Disney Plus. Maybe.
Hi! There's a lot of videos going viral blaming Peter Dinklage for the depictions of the new Seven Dwarfs, so I wanted to clear the air and give you a timeline of what really happened. On January 24th, 2022, Peter Dinklage was on a podcast. He said it was great for them to move the needle forward with casting Rachel Zegler, but it was backwards that they were not doing any type of advancements for the Seven Dwarf characters in terms of plot and story development. The Seven Dwarfs have no backstory, there's no explanation for why they live alone in the forest and how they all know each other or why they work in the mines, so it was fair for him to say that there needs to be more than just dwarfs. Next day, a Disney spokesperson confirmed a deadline that these characters were going to be CGI and that they were consulting with members of the dwarfism community in order to make sure that these roles were not stereotypically offensive to the little people community. At the time that Peter made these comments, the sets were already built in the UK, they were getting ready to film, rehearsals were underway, and casting was already complete. A month later, in March of 2022, the filming began in the UK and lasted for 3 months. A year from when they wrapped, they did some pickup or reshoots, which is when, during the editing process, they realized, hey, we need some extra footage that we weren't able to capture the first time we filmed. That's when we got the photos of 7 characters, one which had dwarfism, many people assumed were the 7 dwarfs. These were later confirmed to be additional characters that were being added to this version of Snow White and not the 7 dwarfs. In October of 2023, Disney delayed the film and released the very first look of Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, which were, again, CGI characters as they had confirmed in 2022. Many people, again, had assumed that those reshoots were the 7 dwarfs, so they were like, why are they now CGI characters? And they assumed it was because Peter Dinklage influenced Disney to refilm all of the scenes with CGI characters and fire those characters that were in the reshoot photos. In conclusion, the 7 dwarfs were always going to be CGI in this updated version of Snow White. It has nothing to do with Peter Dinklage's comments, as the film was in development actively and in rehearsals before he even made these comments to begin with. From Snow White to Willy Wonka to The Wizard of Oz, Hollywood's always had a very problematic take when it comes to characters with dwarfism. They're usually used as props, running gags, sight gags, or just accessories to a scene. Peter Dinklage might be a famous celebrity and he might be the most famous little person right now, but he doesn't have the control or the influence on Hollywood to change decades and decades and decades of misuse of dwarfism talents. Being famous does not mean that you have the power to control a billion-dollar industry that has existed before this person became famous and after they'll become famous. Very few celebrities in Hollywood have the power and control to actually create influence when it comes to casting decisions and how studios operate. Peter Dinklage never called Disney woke for hiring Rachel Zegler. He never slammed Disney for not casting little people. He didn't get little people's jobs taken away. He is not a casting director. He is not a studio executive. He has no influence over how characters are being cast in major films. Peter Dinklage on that podcast doesn't harm the dwarfism community. What does is misinformation.
disinformation and misinformation spreading so rapidly from people who are not even in the little people community themselves. Misinformation can cause drama and narratives that don't exist and can in turn make casting directors and studios feel apprehensive from approaching the conversation of dwarfism because they see the conversations that arise around it are negative. People with dwarfism are allowed to question and challenge why little people are being used in certain ways and demands for better opportunities. One little person doesn't speak on behalf of the millions of little people that are out there. Just because one little person's famous doesn't mean he speaks for the entire community. We're just as different as everybody else when it comes to opinions, beliefs, and background. And the Seven Dwarf characters can be easily modified to be well-rounded and acceptable roles for the little people community that don't perpetuate any negative stereotypes. Anybody creating content or writing articles about Peter Dinklage taking away these jobs from the little people community is just making rage bait content. They're simplifying the situation and assuming that you as the reader or the consumer is not aware of the actual details and timeline, and thus they're able to create drama out of nothing. You see this all the time happening in mainstream media. This type of content, though, does negatively affect the opportunities that little people get because the comment sections of these videos are always filled with really harmful, ableist jokes and language about dwarfism. So anybody who is casting a film might look at those comments and go, the general population and slash audiences might not be ready for characters with dwarfism. That is a problem. But hope this helps and clarifies some things, and feel free to share this with people you know who might believe that Peter Dinklage is being trashed by the dwarfism community.
My mom always told me that if you have nothing nice to say, you should say nothing at all. So I just got back from watching Snow White, and all I gotta say is, nah, I said I'm sorry, Mama, because I'm gonna have to break that promise. I'm gonna try to be as nice as possible. I'm not seeking penance for what I've done, Father. I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do to this movie. First and foremost, I'm pulling out the soups method. I want to congratulate everyone that worked on this film because I genuinely don't know how you guys survived this production with Gal Gadot. Positive, Sammy. Positive. There's only one positive in this movie, and it's Rachel Zegler. It's funny because she was receiving the most hate leading up into this movie, but she's the best aspect of it. Call me her lawyer because she's innocent. She really gets to shine in this titular role, and she gets to show off them pipes, letting everyone and their mama know that she was on Broadway. But if you've seen Hunger Games and West Side Story, we already knew that. I'm not gonna sit here and act like this movie didn't have a lot working against it. I mean, all of the controversy surrounding it, the fact that it's a live-action Disney remake, what's the point of those in general? But also, what the fuck are these? Hey man, I'm sorry. I'm glad they gave Dopey a lot more to do in this movie, but by the 45-minute mark, I was Dopey. But that's all the positives I gotta say. Now it's time for me to cook. Let me cook. No, I really don't understand the amount of hate that Gal Gadot is getting in this role because in my opinion, she deserves more hate because Gal Gadot gives one of the worst performances, if not the worst performance I've ever seen in my life. No! For every bit as good Rachel Zegler is, she's just as bad. 10 times. Dead enough. The unseasoned chicken of acting.
What did you say?
Like, I just know the director was in on this. They're like, man, she looks so bad. We sending this in. I'm leaving here with some. Because you, like, have to be trying to be this generationally terrible. You made me believe that I could be an actor. Like a walk-on with a major in accounting. Think they can make it to the league. Nah, buddy, do my taxes. I'm gonna need to take a cold shower in the fetal position after this one. Dog, she gets a musical number in this movie. And I know what you're thinking. You probably wanted to peel your eyes off, stab your eardrums. And nah, this was like the one time when I could, like, bear to listen to her. Like, the one scene she had some direction. I'm lying, that shit was ass. But I'm not gonna hold you. Like,
oh my God, bro.
She is bad though, like, you know. But if it wasn't for that, she'd be delivering my Uber Eats. Maybe one day we'll get a good Gal Gadot performance. Maybe one day we'll get a good Gal Gadot performance, but today is not that day. Rachel Zegler, you deserve better. I ended up giving this fucking 1 star. You know, I'm sure the kids will like watching this, looking at some cool colors. If you have a kid, know a kid, have some nieces and nephews, you should take them to go watch this. Don't steal a kid just to go watch this though. That's weird. Let me know your thoughts though. Are you gonna be Snow White?
So y'all, from my perspective, the movie did not live up to the hype. I was hoping for something more, something like just Disney, you know? Like, I was hoping to see like a love relationship with Rachel and the prince. That did not happen. I was hoping to actually see like dwarves. Like, I was watching like Once Upon a Time, and the Snow White and Prince Charming. That was so good. This Snow White, they could have just did better, but you know what? Anyways, tell me what y'all think down below. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time. Bye.